Hi everyone, I'm Hextasy, and normally I do Nuzlocke runs, but today I thought we could do something different. Back in high school, I was pretty big into competitive Pokémon, but I was never too great at it because I thought a lot of the meta Pokémon were really ugly and I didn't want to use them. So I figured, why not try to climb ranked in Scarlet? So we catch a ton of new Pokémon, we train them up, evolve Rockruff into the wrong form because apparently Area Zero has the world's brightest nights, and after a ton of other hassles, like staring at a picnic table for an hour, running in circles for an hour to hatch eggs, running out of money and having to go to the Academy Ace tournament and spam A for an hour, and taking on dozens of terror raids for items. Now, I never bothered to learn what was meta right now. I just happened to really like weather-based teams, so we made 4 of them. And they're all probably plagued with questionable decisions. So, let's get into it and see how they do. Our first match is up against Chano with his Murkrow and Breloom, and we bring in Hippowdon and Lycanroc. He immediately terastallizes Breloom into a pure grass type, and Murkrow sets up a Tailwind. Lycanroc moves next and hits them with a Rock Slide, taking about half of both of their HP. Breloom flinches, and Hippowdon hits it with a Yawn, so it's going to sleep at the end of the next turn. Lycanroc is going first on this next turn and uses Rock Slide. It takes out Breloom, but misses Murkrow. Murkrow hits Hippowdon with a weak Foul Play before being hit by an even weaker Crunch, honestly. Iron Bundle replaces Breloom, and thanks to its booster energy, it gets a speed boost. We terastallize Lycanroc into an electric type and try to hit Iron Bundle with the Terra Blast, but it uses Protect, so that's great. Murkrow hits Lycanroc with a Foul Play, nearly taking it out, and Hippowdon uses Yawn, which is blocked by a Protect. On the next turn, Murkrow is switched out for Garchomp, and Iron Bundle outspeeds Lycanroc and takes it out with a Freeze Dry. Hippowdon retaliates with a Crunch, but it doesn't do too much damage. We bring in Greninja next. It's outsped by Iron Bundle and hit by a Freeze Dry, but thanks to our Focus Sash, we live off of 1 HP and we can hit it with a Night Slash, bringing it pretty low as Garchomp sets up a Swords Dance, doubling its attack. And Hippowdon finally takes out Iron Bundle with 1 more Crunch. And then Greninja dies to Sandstorm damage. Radical. I swear I have reasons for putting Greninja on this team. They just probably aren't very good reasons. Murkrow comes back in, and we send out Gastrodon. Garchomp outspeeds them both and hits them hard with an Earthquake, but they both survive. Unfortunately, Murkrow outspeeds Gastrodon and hits it with a Foul Play, taking it out. And Hippowdon hits Garchomp with a Yawn, so it's going to sleep next turn. Sandstorm damage takes out Murkrow, and it's just a 1v1 between Hippowdon and Garchomp. Garchomp then miraculously misses its 100% accuracy Earthquake, then falls asleep for the next 7 turns, allowing Garchomp to slowly whittle it down with Earthquakes of its own, winning us the first fight. For our next battle, we're up against Nathaniel. He opens with an Indeedee and Armarouge, and we bring in Palisand and Garganical. Now the plan here was to skill swap Palisand's Water Compaction ability onto Garganical. Then we can swap into Greninja, who hits it with a Water Shuriken, maxing out its defense, so Garganical can go absolutely bananas with Body Press. Unfortunately, this Indeedee is a party pooper and uses Follow Me, forcing Palisand to target it. So now Indeedee has our ability, and our whole plan has just been thrown out the window. Armarouge sets up a Trick Room, and Garganical had used Wide Guard this turn. On the next turn, I use Shadow Ball on Indeedee, despite it clearly saying it has no effect. But indeed he used Follow Me this turn, so Nathaniel will never know just how boneheaded I actually am. Thanks to the Trick Room, Garganical goes next and lands an Earthquake, not dealing a whole lot of damage to anything on the field. There goes our Shadow Ball, and Armarouge hits us hard with an Expanding Force. Palisand goes down, and Garganical isn't in great shape. We bring in Hippowdon next. We have Garganical use Wide Guard as Indeedee sets up another Follow Me. But she was our sole target anyways. Hippowdon lands a Crunch, taking it out, and Armarouge uses Expanding Force, but it's blocked by Wide Guard. Next in is his Ceruledge. Garganical goes first and lands an Earthquake, dealing a solid amount of damage, and then Hippowdon can land a Crunch on Armarouge, taking it out. Thanks for the Trick Room, you walnut. Ceruledge then hits Hippowdon with a Shadow Ball, dealing a pretty minuscule amount of damage. And Nathaniel's last Pokemon is Goldengo. He immediately terastallizes it into a pure Ghost type, which saves it from taking too much damage from Garganical's Earthquake. The same can't be said for Ceruledge, and it goes down. Hippowdon can then hit Goldengo with a Crunch, bringing it below half HP, and it uses Make It Rain, bringing both Pokemon down pretty low, but we survive. The Trick Room vanishes after this turn, so Goldengo's gonna outspeed us now. We have Garganical use Wide Guard. Goldengo then uses Substitute for some reason. This lets it survive a Crunch from Hippowdon, but its HP is so low that it just goes down to Sandstorm damage. Well, that was a weird way to win, but I'll take it. For our third battle, we're up against something I can't read. He starts with a Jumpluff and a Torkoal, and we bring in Palisand and Garganical. We immediately swap out Palisand for Hippowdon, setting up a Sandstorm, and Garganical uses Wide Guard. Jumpluff goes for a Sleep Powder, but thanks to Garganical's ability, he's immune, and Torkoal goes for a Solar Beam, but because of the Sandstorm, Torkoal has to take a turn for it to charge. On the next turn, Jumpluff outspeeds Garganical and hits it with an Encore. So we're going to be locked into using Wide Guard now. Hippowdon hits Jumpluff with a Yawn, and Garganical uses its useless Wide Guard. Torkoal lands its Solar Beam on Garganical, taking out just under half of its HP, but it turns out that was a critical hit. So I don't think we have much to fear here. Garganical is still stuck using Wide Guard, and Jumpluff hits Hippowdon with a Sleep Powder, putting it to sleep. Torkoal lands an Earth Power, bringing Garganical below half HP. So maybe we did have something to fear. We swap Garganical out for Palisand, who takes a decent amount of damage from Earth Power, and Hippowdon and Jumpluff just continue their nap. Jumpluff gets swapped out this turn, and a Dragonite comes in to take its place. Hippowdon wakes up this turn and hits Torkoal with a Yawn, but that was pretty pointless because it gets taken out by a single Earth Power from Palisand. Gallade comes in next, and it outspeeds us and hits Palisand with a Leaf Blade, taking it out. Dragonite goes for a Hurricane, but it misses, and Hippowdon hits it with a Yawn. We bring Garganical back in, and before Dragonite can go to sleep, it's swapped out for Jumpluff. We terastallize Garganical into a Fighting type, just as Gallade uses Sacred Sword, and because of the type change, we survive. Gallade is then hit with a Yawn, and Garganical hits Jumpluff with a Salt Cure, bringing it down to just about half HP. The Sandstorm then damages everyone but Hippowdon, and unfortunately, Garganical didn't have enough HP to survive it and goes down. So we bring in Greninja, who outspeeds Gallade and hits it hard with a Night Slash, bringing it below half HP. Jumpluff remains asleep, and Gallade hits Greninja with a Sacred Sword, Thanks to our Focus Sash, we live on 1 HP, but the Sandstorm will probably take care of that. Hippowdon hits Gallade with a Crunch, and it goes down. Luckily for us, the Sandstorm subsides this turn, so Greninja gets to live another day. And finally, his Dragonite comes back in. Greninja outspeeds and hits it with an Acrobatics, taking out about a third of its HP. Jumpluff remains asleep, and Dragonite hits Greninja with a Hurricane, taking it out. But Hippowdon is able to land a Yawn on Dragonite, so it's going to sleep next turn. Unfortunately for us, Jumpluff wakes up this turn and hits Hippowdon with a Sleep Powder, so he's asleep too. Luckily though, Dragonite misses its Hurricane, and thanks to Salt Cure from a couple turns ago, Jumpluff goes down. We then spend the next couple turns watching both Pokemon sleep, but Hippowdon eventually wakes up and hits Dragonite with a Crunch. Dragonite wakes up on the next turn and hits Hippowdon with a Hurricane, bringing him down to just 5 HP. We land a Crunch in retaliation, and it's just barely not enough to get the KO. At least we got the defense drop though, so if we survive this next turn, he's in for a world of pain. Dragonite goes for another Hurricane, and it misses. So Hippowdon is able to take it out with a Crunch, winning us another fight. And for our final fight with our Sandstorm team, we're up against... yeah, I can't read this one either. 5, I guess. 5 starts with a Tatsugiri and a Flamigo, and we open with Hippowdon and Garganacl. Tatsugiri starts by using Endure, and Flamigo hits its own teammate with a U-turn, bringing it down to just 1 HP and swapping out for Dondozo. Tatsugiri's Commander ability then kicks in. Dondozo eats it, doubling all of its stats. And unfortunately, we tried to all-in the Tatsugiri, so both of our attacks miss. Tatsugiri then takes damage from the black sludge item it's holding and faints. So now they can bring out a second Pokemon, while Dondozo keeps its stat buffs. So we are really not in a good position here. Next in is Oranguru. And 5 seems to be a huge fan of Friendly Fire, because Dondozo goes for Earthquake, but because Garganacl had used Wide Guard, both of us are protected, so it's only Oranguru taking the damage this turn. Oranguru then uses Instruct on Dondozo, forcing it to use Earthquake again. Once again, we're protected, and Oranguru takes even more damage. Hippowdon then tries to use Roar on Dondozo, but apparently Dondozo is immune. So that's wonderful. On the next turn, Dondozo outspeeds us and takes out Garganacl with a single Wave Crash. Hippowdon moves next and hits Dondozo with a Yawn, so it's going to sleep soon. And just in time too, because Oranguru then hits us with a Taunt, forcing us to only use damaging moves. We bring in Gastrodon next, and then we immediately swap it back out for Lycanroc. You see, Lycanroc is holding the air balloon, making it immune to ground-type moves, but instead of just using Earthquake like I expected, Dondozo uses Wave Crash on Hippowdon, taking it out, and Oranguru hits Lycanroc with a Taunt. Dondozo then goes to sleep, and we bring out Gastrodon again. We Terrastalize Lycanroc into an Electric type, and hit Dondozo with a Terra Blast, nearly taking it out. Dondozo then uses Sleep Talk, and ends up using Earthquake. Lycanroc's air balloon still hasn't been popped yet, so it only hits Gastrodon and Oranguru. Gastrodon tanks it well, Oranguru does not, and it goes down. Gastrodon then hits Dondozo with an Earth Power, taking it out. All that's left on 5's team is Flamigo. Lycanroc outspeeds Flamigo and takes it out with a single Terra Blast. winning our Sand team their final fight for today. I know this video was shorter than what I normally make, but I wanted to try experimenting with shorter videos uploaded more frequently. So this was the first video for that. Anyways, I've been Hextasy, thanks for watching.